Hello traders, welcome to my first trading recap. I'm really excited about this. Even though it was a red day where I turned my green day into a red one, I'm still very excited for this video because I think I managed my risk well, and I'm very happy to show you that I'm going to be 100% transparent and show you the losses as well. So just before I start, every single day, like 10 minutes before the open, I mark these 4 levels every single day, the 4 same levels, and I mark it for the stock that I'm trading, which is Tesla, for the SPY, and for the Qs to follow the market. So the levels that I am marking is previous day high, previous day low, and the pre-market high and pre-market low, because in my personal opinion, very near these levels that are critical, you know, the highs and the lows, are sitting a ton of limit orders, a ton of stop orders. And if a group of momentum buyers or sellers are able to push the price to reach those orders, they get triggered and that pushes the price even further. All right, so let's take a look at the first trade. So the first trade that I took is going to be an open range breakout, which means when the first candle of the open forms a range, the highs and the lows, this is the first candle, 9:30. Open range breakout is when the next candle or whatever next candle breaks it, either the high or the low. It's a very powerful strategy and it works very well with a high ATR stocks that move a lot. So as I mentioned before, in my personal opinion, when it comes to like pre-market highs, new high of day when the market opens, and so on, I think that there are a ton of orders that get triggered and push the price even further. It's not all the time, but we'll see. So let's take a look at the first trade. For the first 2 candles, SPY wasn't kind of going nowhere, but then it started to push it. The volume started to rise, as you can see. All right, I'm in the trade. It breaks. Now I don't want to take a loss when I'm already in profit, so I have to be extra careful. And you see how it's bouncing and struggling to break it even further. So these are the situations. So now I'm out of the trade just a second ago. These are the situations where Tesla starts to bounce like that and can't break it further. A lot of the times it just pulls back nasty against you and you have to take a massive loss. Since I have a little bit of experience with Tesla already, I know that it's better just to take what's on the table rather to hold it and take a loser instead of a winner. So I sold it, and look what happened next. Just as I sold it, it started to skyrocket. And that's not the end. It's still skyrocketing, yes. That was very painful to watch, very painful to watch. So now I'm just going to stop a video here and give you an understanding of what has happened. So I have bought these contracts for $18.40 around this level, just before the break of the day high here, which is like the open range breakout that I was telling you about. And I bought it just here. It broke this level and it started to bounce on this, like between like 950, 850, 959 area. And as I mentioned, and it starts to bounce like that, it was an obvious resistance. A lot of the times it pulls back nasty against you before it breaks it again. So I just cut it and sold it for $19.14, which means I ended up with 74 cents profit, which for one contract is $74. And at the moment I sold it, it kind of started to skyrocket. Well, that happens. Welcome to trading. Nobody's perfect. Now, if I would have sold it at this price, they were at almost $22. So I bought it for $18.40 and now they're about $22. So that's around $360 in profit to be made that I missed. And unfortunately, but that happens, and I'm still very happy about this trade because if it would have pulled back against me, here taking profits would have felt as being a genius. For my second trade, it's going to be a bull flag pattern. So I basically trade just two patterns. The first one is open range breakout, the one that I showed you before. So if the stock breaks the level that I have marked before, I just move the horizontal line to the new high that it makes. So it's much more clear for me to see, and there are not as many horizontal lines, and it makes it much more clear. So the second trade is a really nice bull flag pattern. Sometimes the bull flag patterns are formed with just one candle of a pullback. Sometimes there can be a numerous number of candles, but it formed a really nice bull flag pattern, and I took this trade. So let's take a look at how it went. And I've got 970 call strike price call options loaded, which means that I'm anticipating for it to break that 970 level somewhere here, and if the price goes above that level and I'm in the option just before that, the premiums move up really nicely, giving me really nice profits. So let's watch how it went. All right. The level 2 and tape starts to speed up, some momentum. I'm in a trade. All right. And I don't like it that it doesn't break it instantly. All right, so I'm out of the trade, and look what happened. It's the same situation that was with the first trade, and this is the reason why I have cut this trade here so soon, because sometimes, as I mentioned before, a nasty pullback can happen. And now that I look at it, I could have done a better job because the volume was very low for this breakout, which means there's high probability there is not enough buying power to break this level. And at the same time, the SPY was going down kind of really aggressively, and the Qs were showing some weakness. So all lined up, it's not an A+ setup. I don't think that it's even an A setup, but it's very hard to be perfect. And I think I managed the risk well. I bought it for $20.10 and sold it for $19.43. I can't speak today, I'm sorry. And let's take a look at what would have happened if I have held it. Yep, it went down aggressively. And this is exactly why you have to cut the loser short for Tesla instantly. If it doesn't work right away in your favor, it's better to just take small profits or a small loss and rethink the trade or re-enter if it gives a really nice opportunity again, instead of taking a loss like this. My third trade is going to be the same bull flag. And remember when I was telling you that sometimes the bull flag is formed just with one pullback and then the third candle breaks the level again? Well, it wasn't this occasion. This time it took more candles to form the bull flag, and it started to show some strength again. So let's see how that worked. All right, showing some momentum. SPY and the Qs are rising. This looked like a really good opportunity, but it starts to bounce. It doesn't break instantly. I wanted it to reach this level and break it, and it doesn't even reach it. That's it, I'm out. Sell order, sell market orders. I only fill orders of the market type. I don't use like hard stop or anything because that's just my style of trading. I will make a video in the future telling you more in detail about how I trade, what is my A+ setup, where's my stop loss, how I do it. But just for now, look what happened. Again, the same situation as with this false breakout. it kind of started to show some strength. Even though the SPY and the Qs at that moment were rising, it looked like an A plus setup because it's a very clear bull flag pattern. Tesla is very strong on the day, but it just didn't break. And this is the reason why you can't have a bias. If the Tesla was going up like crazy for today, it doesn't mean it's going to continue like that for the rest of the day. And that's why you have to be extremely careful. So I bought this 970 call for $19.28. And unfortunately, I had to cut it short for $18.65. My last trade is going to be shorting Tesla, but when we're speaking about stock options, there is no shorting, there is buying puts instead of going short. So I have loaded 940 puts with 940 put strike price, and I was anticipating that it's going to break the low of the day that was formed at the very beginning since the market opened. But now that I look at it, even just like when it's paused, and it's not moving, this is not the best setup, because the SPY and the Qs were ranging heavily. When they're ranging heavily, a lot of the times the breakouts don't work that well. And since Tesla was falling all this way, it would be much more better to see a nice bounce of the support and then go into the trade if it tries to break it again. So this definitely wasn't an A plus setup. There was not too much volume here, and it was not clear where Qs and the SPY is going, but let's just see how it worked. All right, it starts to move. I'm in a trade. It looked like it was going to go down, but it instantly gets bought back. I give it a second, I give it another second, but it just starts to go against me. And I have to cut it. I don't want to risk it. So, well, even though I managed risk really well, unfortunately, it just wasn't my day. And I broke the rule, as I probably mentioned, that I took a fourth trade for today. And the max number of trades that I allow myself is no more than 3. And I had to pay for it in a loss. So now that I look at it, I'm not surprised it didn't work. As I mentioned before, I would be expecting it to bounce off the support a little bit, just to eat up some orders and then to go down. But we're not perfect. Sometimes trades like these work, sometimes not. But probably my psychology was already pretty broken for those losses for the day, especially when the first trade was green and I made the day into a red one. And this is just to show you that nobody's perfect. And at the very end of the trading day, I open up my portfolio tab to see the loss or the profit that I made. I try not to look at it while I'm not finished trading, because I think it can mess up with your psychology. For example, if your first trade is a loss, I think it's better not to look, because with your second trade you might try to make it back, and not to think as straight as you should be. So for this day, I ended up taking a loss of $128. As you can see, the first trade was green, and then I cut the loser short, which ended up with this loss. So the total account balance at this day for me is $2,600, which is, in other words, $2,600. And yeah, that's the situation. That's my first trade recap. I hope you like the transparency and explanation about it. If you have an idea what I could explain better, what I could comment, more, or if you have a specific question, please leave it in the comment. You can always ask me questions on Instagram. I love discussion about trading, and I hope you did better than me today, and I see you in the next one.